Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today is Thursday and we have a card creation for you. Last week we used a Rubbernecker stamp and this week we have another one to continue our series. This one is called Open Range. It has a watercolor background and then some trees that go over the top. Here I'm going to show you how I line it up with my acrylic blocks, and we're going to use some different watercolor techniques to see what we can get for the backgrounds. Here we're going to use scribble sticks from Dina Wakley, just picking out some different colors and we'll see what happens. I don't use this product very often, so I'm always trying to find out just that perfect project. I love to use what I have in my stash. Of course, I love to shop like everyone else, but right now I'm trying to save all the money I can so that I can have some fun when I go to a big stamp convention, which is going to be in October in Madison, Wisconsin. It's called One of a Kind Stamp and Scrap Expo. Here I'm using the gray, which is called Elephant, to color in the portions of the stamp. Gray on the mountains, two different shades of blue for the sky, and then I used a rust color and a yellow on the bottom for the ground. I put a little green in there as a dividing, and I'm spraying water on the stamp off camera and putting it down on watercolor paper, and this is Canson 140 pound. I didn't think that I had enough color on that background there, so I'm kind of darkening in the image with some more of the watercolor crayon. Adding some more water and putting it down on another piece of watercolor paper. Just kind of letting it sit there for a little bit longer, hoping that the paint will soak into the watercolor paper. I've got more pigment here. Just not sure if I like it or not. We'll see what happens. It's exciting to see the finished product because all along the journey I was not really convinced that I liked this, but at the end they are beautiful. Here's a product by Jane Davenport and they're called Mermaid Watercolor Markers. Here's my swatch of colors that I have over to the right, and I'm just picking out some different colors. I have a little bit of problem with my videoing here. I had my video go in slow motion. It's something that I'm experiencing a bit and I'm working on getting it fixed, so I appreciate your patience. I'm coloring the stamp with the watercolor markers, misting it with my water and stamping it down onto the watercolor paper. Here's how it turns out. Definitely got a lot more watercolor pigment on this one, but I wasn't 100% sold on the image. I'll let it set aside to dry and see what we can come up with next. Here I'm using some watercolor paints and they're by Prima, and I'm just spraying my set with water, and you can see my color swatch up on top. I'm using my watercolor brush, adding some water to the stamp and also to the paint and coloring right on the stamp. Now this set that I have in front of me are two sets combined. So if you're interested in purchasing the watercolor sets by Prima, this one is a set combined. So I have a double set here. I'll link everything below for you, of course, on my blog. Just coloring right on top of the stamp with the water and the paint. Not loving this either. Went on to use some watercolor dots from Daniel Smith, and I'm going to just paint right on top of the stamp. I did mist the stamp first with some water. These color dots are great for travel because you can just take them on the plane. All you need is a little cup of water, a paintbrush, and you can color any image. Real light to carry in your luggage and doesn't take up very much space. They're real nice to have. Adding in those mountains there, and let's see what happens this time. Spraying with my water off camera. I'm trying to let it sit a minute so that it soaks into the paper. Wow, not too happy with that. Adding some water, and I'm really feeling like I'm not getting any good images. But wait till you see what happens. Try it again with the color dots from Daniel Smith. Oh, it looks like a mess. I think I'll move the paint around with my paintbrush, adding a little here and there, just so I can get some type of image. I was thinking that they were going to be terrible looking, but they turn out really, really nice. Just adding the mountains in there and adding some more to the sky. I want to make these into sympathy cards so that I have some on hand. All right, here's what I've got so far, and I really don't like any of them. But let's see what happens when we put the tree stamp on. I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black pigment ink with the tree stamp. It's an outline stamp that goes on top. And then I'm going to use embossing powder in clear to cover that and heat it with my heat tool to get a nice crisp image of the trees on top of the watercolor background. I'm actually really liking them now. With that black, it makes them pop. The backgrounds kind of all flow together and they turn out well. Just shows you gotta keep on going to the end. Now I'm gonna continue that tree stamp over to the far edge there and make it go off the page. I thought that would be a nice way to make it look a bit different from the others. Covering with that clear embossing powder and heating with my heat tool off camera. Spilt a little there. Time to clean up. Now look at this one. I think the background is terrible, but look how neat it turns out. Those black trees are just amazing. Here we go. I'm going to heat them all, and look what happens. I put some pattern paper there in the back, and I'm attaching the watercolor pieces with double-sided tape because the watercolor paper is a bit warped. You want it to be able to straighten out a bit. Need to trim my card back there a little bit. The paper was a little different size. using my pen blade to take off the back of the adhesive tape and stick it down to the pattern paper. This one's going to be for my husband for his birthday. He'll be 54 on Friday. Look how neat it turned out. I really like it. Here's one that I put on a piece of blue paper, and I'm going to show you how I put that sentiment on the back. I used my Misty, my VersaFine black onyx ink, and again I'm covering it with that clear embossing powder. Look how beautiful. I was so happy with how these turned out. Nice. Now make sure that you let me know. There's that embossing, the die, which is for the outside stitch rectangle. Let me know which stamp set you'd like to see for next Thursday. We have the fall mums, the fall tree, and the wildflowers. Let me know in the comments below. I'd appreciate you subscribing if you haven't and sharing my video to grow my channel. We'll see you again on Tuesday for a mixed media piece, and again next Thursday for another Rubbernecker stamp design. Tell me which one you want to see. Have a great week.